Okay, we're going to start the speeches. Can you hear?
Yeah.
If you're quiet, you might hear. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and grateful for the rain for staying away. We've got a few speakers coming up, including Julie Ward, MEP, Ken Skates, who's the Welsh Assembly Minister. We've got Chris Matheson on his way from a surgery in Leitch, and Helen's going to speak, and Sean. I'm Helen Rutherford Gregory, and I've organised tonight. I want to make it clear what tonight's about. It's not about Brexit. This isn't another chance for us to argue about who's right and who's wrong. I hope we've got both Leave and Remain supporters in the audience. Because tonight it's about protesting a rotten, unelected Prime Minister taking the unprecedented step of proroguing Parliament. To say that one unelected man can't shut down our political system to try and circumnavigate fairness and debate, and that we'll fight this in the streets. A lot of people know that there was a protest here on Wednesday, and I want to explain the difference between that protest and today's. Wednesday's protest was organised by the Chester for Europe group. They're an exclusively pro-Remain group, and they were supported by the Liberal Democrats. It's my strong belief that holding on to a staunch opinion about Brexit and putting it front and centre before everything else, distracting us and preventing us from working together on so many other issues which should unite us. Stop the War has held a number of demonstrations here in the last couple of years against war, against Trump, and you've come out in your droves to support them. So that's proof that there's other issues that concern us as much, if not more, than Brexit. You might find it strange that somebody like me with a very fluid opinion on Brexit and no longer a member of any political party has gone to the stressful lengths of organising today, but this is because it's not about Brexit for me. It's the dangerous precedent of disabling democracy and waiting out the clock. Theresa May tried it with a deal, delaying it over and over again, and now Boris Johnson's doing it. So this is about a growing, a gaping chasm between power and people. If successful, this chasm will reappear when Johnson wants to follow Trump into war with Iran, maybe China next. So now is the time to put our issue of Brexit to one side and protect democracy, because our future's in real danger. Our benefits are at risk for the most. Our benefits are at risk for the most vulnerable and disabled. For those lucky enough to have wages, they're not rising to meet the extortionate cost of living. Homelessness is constantly stigmatised and demonised. Mental health services are being slashed. The very existence of the NHS is precarious. Our climate crisis goes unaddressed as we kowtow to the idiotic denier Trump. The list goes on, and each one of these issues is more important than the last, and at least, if not more important than Brexit. We can't continue to argue amongst ourselves, divided into two non-existent Brexit camps, distracted and desperate to win the unwinnable war of words on Twitter, whilst all of this is imposed upon us. I'm here today as proof that these two camps don't exist. We're a spectrum. The only binary camps that exist in society today are those in power and those not. Socialist woman, I was moved by the words of Laura Pidcock recently as she spoke at the cherished event, the Durham Miners Gala. I'm sick of being made to feel ashamed for using my voice. She urged people like me to go out and occupy space with our opinions. That doesn't mean arguing in closed circles online. That means organising things like this and having the bravery, despite the shaking in my knees and the shaking in my voice, to say what I'm saying now in front of you. Despite what they're saying about us, I've got a job. I do get washed. And yes, protest counts, even in Chester. I believe that the current government eroded our rights by callous and devious manipulation with their ongoing smear campaign against Jeremy Corbyn, who is a serious challenge to the status quo. By lying, by allowing right-wing media monopoly, and by stoking the fires of hatred and division. We live in a very different world to the one that I grew up in. We live in a world of suspicion and assumptions. Politics rightly belongs to everybody, but so many are consumed with it, along with anger and angry online debate, and filled with the politics of division and hatred, and it leaves them apathetic outside of their social media personas. And I've faced abuse, threats, vilification for no other reason than wanting mine and other voices to be heard, in the face of a Prime Minister that's racist, sexist, war-hungry and desperate to plunge us into a no-deal Brexit, risking peace in Northern Ireland, risking jobs and risking lives. Of abuse for calling this demo tonight, and the abuse assumed that because I called this demo I voted Remain. This is the closed-minded, binary, false dichotomy culture that we've got now. I'm not ardent Remain and I'm not ardent Labour. I have my issues with either scenario, but I do believe in democracy. I believe that we need to debate, figure things out, open our minds, speak to each other with respect, and stop viewing anyone with a slight difference of opinion as our enemy. There's only one enemy, and it's a man who cozies up to foreign dictators, a man who calls members of our LGBT community bum boys and refers to black people as pickaninnies. Make no mistake, our current Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is evil. He's a bad egg, and he cannot win his argument justly, so he's going to force it. Leave or Remain, Boris Johnson is our enemy, and if we don't fight him now and get him out of power, we lose our collective power. Tonight's the first of many protests up and down the country. Tuesday night will be huge at Parliament Square at 6 o'clock. I urge you to get there if you can. Take a car full of people if you can. Stop the War got millions of people onto the street once for the Iraq War, and we can do it again. So I urge you now, and this might seem radical, but we need to take action. Occupy space, go out, talk to people, join your unions, encourage a general strike, and demand a general election now. Tories out! Our next speaker is Sean Hingston. Sean is a youth councillor for Saltney, so I'm going to give the mic over to Sean now. Thank you.
May I just say that the blue I'm wearing is not for conservatism, just saying, that was a confusion before with Frankie. As I stand here today on these steps... Closer, is this okay? Brilliant, thank you. As I stand here today on the steps of our town hall overlooking a diverse crowd, a brilliant reflection of the diversity that our country boasts, a crowd filled with people from all backgrounds, of all political persuasions, creeds and different religions and ethnicities. And though many of us are complete strangers, we come together in one simple message for Boris Johnson and those who would seek to weaken our parliamentary democracy. That message is this: Tories out, general election now.
Yeah!
Now, I'm 16 years old. I've never voted in a local election or general election, and I did not vote in the EU referendum. Like many here, I am not a Remainer, nor am I a Leaver. But what I am a person, but what I am is a person who values British democracy. A person who understands that when we turn our backs on our elected representatives and when we are governed by the decisions of a few men and women, democracy that has taken centuries to build and develop, the kind of democracy that my grandfather and ancestors and all yours too fought for, begins to come crashing down. History is our greatest teacher on this point. For those that would say that this demonstration means nothing, you are wrong. This demonstration represents something larger, and that something is this. The British people will not sit down and listen and smile as our democracy is wrongfully taken from us by an unelected Prime Minister. This is a consequential time in our country's years-old history. Now, whether you agree that the United Kingdom should leave the European Union at this moment is irrelevant. What we are here to demand is that the people chosen by the people get to represent the people. Thank you. Don't get me wrong, we are facing a life-changing, history-book-writing situation in our relations with other European nations within the EU. And though the battle for an independent nation, or on the other side, a people's vote, rages on, we need to take a second to realise what's happening here at home, on the streets and in our parliaments. We need to realise that by closing down our parliament, even for an extra 3 days, we'll take the power from elected representatives to hold the government to account. Do we want that power to be left in the hands of Boris Johnson? No! I didn't think so, and nor do I. It will change precedent so that the next time a major political decision needs to be made, a dictatorial government can do it without the consent of Parliament. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a country where that can happen. I want to live in a country where the people get to elect their representatives. I want to live in a parliamentary democracy where opposition groups, all opposition groups, get a chance to question, challenge and review the work that the government is doing. I want to live in a country where the voices of everybody are taken into account and considered, not just those that agree with Boris. Thank you very much.
Beauty before age. I was saying to Sean, this government would divide us all, young and old, rich and poor, male and female, whatever. You know, they would divide us, and we must not let them do it. This protest isn't about whether you voted Leave or Remain. It's about a rich, privileged elite holding power and avoiding scrutiny. When this Prime Minister was elected by a tiny number of people, remember they were paid up members of the Tory party, we should all have feared the worst. Well, at the moment he is trying to do his worst. He's attempting to evade scrutiny and debate by shutting down Parliament and driving us even further towards a no-deal Brexit. It's cowardly, it's dangerous, and it threatens our democracy. Mr. Johnson has ensured that the time available to even debate the government's Brexit policy is limited, let alone time to do anything about it. It forces Parliament to either do something drastic and the people to do something drastic, or just accept what he wants. This serial liar was anointed by a group of people who are richer, older, whiter and more right-wing than the rest of us, the Tory membership. Why are we so cross at this proroguing of Parliament? Because the UK's democratic system is based on the principle of parliamentary sovereignty. Since the English Civil War, it's been Parliament that's had the final say on everything, not the monarch, not the government, not a referendum. This was the UK's developed parliamentary system, and we developed it in order to prevent tyranny and dictatorship. Members of Parliament are there to represent their constituency. Parliament is deadlocked over Brexit. It's probably because we are too. The people are deadlocked, the people are divided, so is Parliament. A no-deal Brexit, I would agree with Helen, would destroy jobs, push up food prices, open our NHS up to private companies in the USA. It threatens our rights and protections, which we fought as trade unionists, fought hard to win them. It will take us down the road of a low-wage, hire and fire tax haven. We don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, but a general election seems closer than ever, and we have to be ready. The Tories might be swimming in cash from their rich donors, but we know that when working people stand together, we are unstoppable. This is a fight for our lives, really, and we should all be part of it. So please don't stay at home when there is an election. Decide who you're going to support. As a Labour Party member, I would, of course, urge you to support the Labour Party. Don't forget, the Tories stand up for bosses and billionaires, undermining our democratic institutions and playing politics with our livelihood. The Labour government, I hope, will put working people and families first. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Helen Collins. Give it up for Helen.
Well, it's pretty terrible to come after such amazing speakers, particularly when you put that to is that better? Yeah. Well, if it's not embarrassing enough to come after such brilliant speakers, but I'm here to say my bit, same as everybody else. I'm here same as everybody else because I saw something wrong in society back in 2010 when the Conservatives were elected for the first time, and I just thought, yeah, I'm not having that. Okay, it's the establishment playing off factionalism which has played a huge part in this outcome. This isn't about Leave or Remain, nor is it a platform for people to push right-wing rhetoric that's divided us for the past 3 years. It's about an unmandated figure abusing our democracy at the cost of our lives. 70% of NHS contracts currently fall under PFI, which is privatisation. That's set to increase tenfold. Well, they're following no deal Brexit. We've got a Prime Minister that was voted by 9,150. I'm proud of myself for remembering that figure. But my point is, very privileged people are having little to no relation to us, the working people. Try telling the kids that are going to fall victim to medication shortages or NHS sell-offs that we're better off with this systematic deplatforming. I get people have problems with parliamentary democracy, but deplatforming it in this way is always abuse, it's always fascism. We've got to stand up as a class against this, because we're the people that are going to be affected. And sometimes you have just got to stand up and say, I'm not having it.
the coup! Stop 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 the coup!
Thank you, everybody. Well done. That was brilliant. So yes, we've got Ken Skates now. Ken is a Welsh Assembly Minister. Oh, he's back for some more. Come on, give him some more.
Stop the coup! 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 Stop the coup!
So yes, now we've got Ken Skates. I'm going to tell you again. Ken Skates is the Welsh Assembly Minister for Transport.
Hey!
They want to stop us from speaking. They want to suppress your voice. That's what's happening nationally right now.
Yeah.
Right now. But good evening, Chester. Not sorry.
Hey!
I'm from across the border, where we have a government elected by the people, for the people, and that realises just how precious parliamentary sovereignty is. We've been described as a rebel alliance. Well, you know what? I am proud to be part of a rebel.
Yeah! Hey!
We will not give up. And you know what? History will prove. History will prove that we have stood and fought in the light, and we are fighting for what is absolutely right, whereas they, the architects and the authors of a disastrous no-deal Brexit, of an attempted coup, they have plotted. They've squirmed their way into the bunkers of Downing Street. They've hidden in the darkness, and they have plotted and planned in sinister ways a grab on power. Your power, not for the interests of this country, for future generations, no, for their own immediate interests, driven by anger, prejudice, greed, and their own egos. We
Yeah!
next week, next month, next year, or in the next decade, demographics are on our side. The right argument is with us, and we will win and protect our democracy.
Our next speaker is a member of the European Parliament, Julie Ward. Julie represents our constituency, so here's Julie. Thank you.
Hey!
And the organisers for letting me speak. I represent 7.1 million people from Crewe to Carlisle, and I don't necessarily expect to speak on platforms, but I do want to be standing in solidarity with all of you for whom this is an absolute outrage in our country. Yeah. It's very important. That we are not bystanders, and I think we were subdued into bystanding. We were not told the truth about many things. We were told to stay at home and just let people get on with it. And actually what we've discovered is that when we don't participate, our power, our voices are taken away from us. And we're not going to stand for that, are we?
No!
Right, thank you. I was in London this morning, and whenever I go to London, I go and stand outside Westminster with the amazing campaigners who've given up their lives to demonstrate and to stand there in the face of the MPs who are leaving, coming and going every day. And I just want to pay tribute, really, to the ordinary man and woman, child, LGBT person, whoever you are, wherever you're from. I want to pay tribute to all of you who've discovered your voice and discovered that you cannot stay at home, you cannot be bystanders. I sat over there on that sculpture a few minutes ago. I sat next to a lady in a green jacket. She has never been to a demonstration in her life before. Well, we woke up, didn't we, Chester?
Yeah!
We woke up, didn't we, the UK? We woke up and we are not going to be silent. You know, this was supposed to be, Brexit was supposed to be about control. It was supposed to be about sovereignty. And what we've discovered, it's about a power crazy, misogynist, homophobic, Islamophobic. And I represent one of the most diverse, extraordinary regions in the United Kingdom. And every one of my constituents, no matter where they come from, wherever they pray or worship, or whether they don't pray or worship, whatever gender they are, whatever their economic and socio-economic background, they all deserve to have better than the Tories. So thank you, Chester. But I got angry. I got very angry in 2010, and I'm still angry. And if you are angry like me, then use that anger to keep making yourself heard and to join other people, because by ourselves we are nothing. We have to stand together really strong in the face of the biggest onslaught against democracy that this country has known. So, power to you folks.
Yeah!
Our MP. Chris, if you'd like to come up. Chris puts his constituents first, and he had a constituency meeting, and that's why we started a little bit late. But he's absolutely right in putting his constituents first. But we thank him so much for being here tonight.
Yay!
Thank you for organising this, and thanks to everyone for coming at such short notice. This started off a few years ago about whether the UK should be a member of the European Union or not. This week it is about something much more fundamental. It is about whether this remains a democratic country.
Yeah.
This is about whether we allow a government to dismiss Parliament for the longest period in several hundred years, simply to avoid scrutiny and simply to avoid being challenged. Now, Parliament in the last year has already voted 3 times not to have no deal, but that is already being ignored by a government that thinks it has the right to ignore Parliament. And why do they want no deal? It's because it will cause huge upheavals in financial markets, and the people who are in charge, not just the people in the government, but the people they serve, will make huge amounts of money from fluctuations in the financial markets. This is about making some very rich people even richer at the expense of the rest of us.
Yeah.
Parliament out of the picture, what else are they prepared to do? What other sacrifices that we would have to make are they prepared to make on our part? Because you notice, when there are tough decisions to be made, when there are sacrifices to be made, it's normally the ordinary folk that have to make them.
Yeah.
What else are they prepared to do to our Constitution? What else are they prepared to do to ignore our democratic institutions? They've already attacked our civil service and our High Court judges, called us traitors, called us collaborators this week. Absolutely disgusting that this kind of language could be used in the 21st century in the United Kingdom. but it tells us of the kind of battle that we are having.
Yeah.
I want you all to take a moment and look around at this crowd that has assembled in a matter of hours and days, from people just like you, from places just like this. I want you to imagine the same scene in towns and cities up and down the country at short notice of people who will say our democracy will not be violated in this way. We will not.
Yeah.
We will not have a government that will tear down our democratic, that will tear down our democratic institutions. And I remind you all, there will be people out there who will say that Parliament should have made its mind up. Well, this was the Parliament that you, the people, elected in 2017, and it accurately reflects the divisions in this country. And let's be clear, the country is divided. But providing even more fuel on that particular fire by forcing through even more divisions is just about the worst, the most damaging, quite frankly, the most dangerous way to proceed at this stage. On Monday I will go back down to London, to the House of Commons, and we will find a way to assert the democratic rights of the People's Parliament that you elected. And set up some bogus division between people versus Parliament. This is your Parliament. This is your Parliament that you elected, and I will stand to defend it, and I will stand to defend our democratic system against what is potentially the most dangerous government in 400 years. With members of Parliament across every other political party that wants to stand together to defend our democratic system. Because this is no longer about party politics. This is about defending British democracy, and I will do that.
Thank you, Boris.
Should we have some more chanting?
Yeah.
I just want to ask, you know exactly what you did. At the Tory Party conference 2015, when you get like really close and shout, Boris Johnson called me a nose ring crusty. So anyone ever like do platforms yet and says you should debate sensibly? No, I don't think so. We're not having it. We're not having it.
We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. We're not having it. Out! 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 Out!
Boris Johnson, go Boris Johnson up your ass.
You're at school, weren't you?
Yeah, what the fuck happened to you?
Hey?
What went wrong?
Oh, mate, put it on your YouTube channel. Put it on your YouTube channel. Yeah. I love winding everyone up. Mate, whether I agree with it or not, I'll disagree. But you've got to be there at the right minute. But yeah, man. I do disagree with what's going on with all these anti. What I hate is people who love. Yeah, no, it's like this my school. People who love democracy until it disagrees with them, and then all of a sudden
they shut down Parliament.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like them leavers, the Remainers even. They love democracy, and until it doesn't go in their favour, and then they all go crazy.
Yeah, except that that's not what's happening.
No.
Well, either way you look at it, like you're in the minority. I know it's a big shock for like a lot of self-righteous left-wing people who think it's like they know best.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about Boris Johnson shooting down Parliament. Parliament is the democratic force of the UK.
They're the people we vote for. We don't vote for prime ministers. We vote for MPs. We vote for our Parliament.
We voted for
our Parliament, our MPs,
for the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party won, as by parliamentary rules.
Yeah, but they're shut down as well. He's shut down the whole of Parliament. He hasn't just shut down the Labour members of Parliament. He's shut down the whole of Parliament.
And the thing we need is more time to try and talk of a better way of leaving.
You can't do that if you shut down Parliament.
I know, but how many years have we had? We've had like 2.
If you want more time, you need to not shut down Parliament.
That we've gone like,
shutting down Parliament is
finding a good way to leave and trying to go, and it hasn't happened. And then now they want let's give it more time.
It took much longer than 2 years to join. So when you're part of this huge, great big conglomeration, this huge organisation, it's going to take ages to safely unpick that. Rushing doesn't do anybody any favours.
Well, we're not rushing. We've had 3 years. Ages, and no one can agree to it. And they've had a legal date to leave that was agreed by Parliament, voted on, and then when they didn't like the sound
gone
of
on
it,
for far too long.
When they didn't like the sound of it anymore, it hasn't come good, and we're back to where? People flapping around in Chester with Euro flags. Jesus Christ! Have a bit of sympathy for the working class. That's what you need to do. You wonder how it works. Right. Cheers, boys. You've done a good job, but you've made bricks of yourselves. Alright, do you know what I mean? It was fun. It was fun. Nice, Andrew Hignett. Nice to see you, mate.
Wish I could say the same.
You've got a I love your look.
Listen,
thank you.
You were the one. You were. This is my mate here.
I love the look. No, I'm serious. That was happy coincidence. Came round the corner just in time to hear a load of Remainers being upset. I know, it was fucking terrible. It's horrible. It's bad. I'm going to develop my opinion.
With your sister, yeah, all day long.
I want trust in me,
Oh, never mind.